Welcome to your 20-minute yoga reset. This sequence is inspired by Yoga for the Beauty Body, so intended for Ayurveda Network, artists that are working in the salon and spa industry. And today we're moving outdoors just to enjoy and appreciate the energy of nature. Start in a standing yoga pose, and we'll begin with some grounding chakra 1 movements, side body stretches, matching movement with breath, and then start to corkscrew through the upper body, slight bend of the knees, moving through the pelvic floor, circulating from your core. And we'll incorporate continued movement of the spine with some twists. Forward fold, relax your head and neck on the way down. Take a halfway lift as you lengthen. And then toe heel feet out a little wider and enjoy a nice deep forward fold. You can play with rolling weight forward towards toes and then back towards heels. And a side to side motion to release any tension in the low back. Step toes together, take a moment, curl to a ball. Release heels to the earth, rise up, chair pose, bend the knees, sit back, and then move through your upper body a few times. We move back into standing mountain pose, half moon, side to side, corkscrew through the body, again incorporating 6 movements of the spine. This is so healthy when we're standing behind the chair or working in the treatment room. And then hands through heart, exhale, forward fold. Bend the knees a lot on your way down. Take tension away from the low back. And we'll come back into a forward fold or an option for gorilla pose. You'll step your hands on top of your palms facing up, toes at your wrist creases, bend knees, bend elbows, pull your upper body down towards the earth. This feels super great on the back. Take a breath in as you step back to center and curl into a ball. Heels are lifted, and now we drop heels back to the earth. Inhale, chair pose, bend the knees, sit back and down. Let's add some twists here side to side, twisting from your belly button up. Exhale, airplane torso, lift onto the tips of your toes, heels rise, drinking bird. And then keep your heels lifted, extend the arms forward, challenge your focus and core to rise all the way up. Keep your heels lifted, tippy toe Tadasana. And then relax into the balance. Keep your heel lifted, bend right knee and extend the right leg. Challenge your balance here as you shift to the other side. Left heel lifted, or right heel lifted, that is, as you bend the left knee. And then take a moment, center into the earth, drop your heels down, interlace your hands behind you. We'll create a standing back bend, knuckles in towards your tailbone, bend the elbows. Take a breath in and then hinge over your hips, forward fold, chest expansion, drop your head. Keep your knees bent as much as needed. Relax into a forward fold. Toe heel feet out a little wider than hip width distance. Cross palms to opposite elbow. Bend the knees, engage the core, and we'll move into sunflowers here. Big movements, circular movements up and then down. We'll do 2 to 3 on each side and keep your palms pressed at your elbows. Again, this movement is coming from your center. After you finish your 2 to 3 movements on each side, come to standing. Interlace hands behind the nape of your neck, lean back, bend your knees, drop your tailbone down. And you can start to extend into a deeper standing back bend by reaching your biceps behind your ears. And then exhale, forward fold, relax head and neck. Halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Tuck and curl to a ball, lift your heels, squeeze inner thighs together. Go ahead and lower all the way down, hips on heels with knees bent. Take a moment, right palm outside, left palm outside. Move into embryo pose. Just let your belly rest on top of your thighs, arms behind you, palms flip up. You can always bring a block underneath your forehead just to make the pose a little more accessible. Rising out of embryo pose to tabletop. Palms are shoulder width apart, knees are hip width apart, and start to move cat-cow energy. We're tucking and curling through the pelvic floor, low to mid back. Feeling this energy start to course through the body. Come onto the tips of your fingers for an added stretch in the upper back. And then let's lift heels up and back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Melt your chest towards your thighs. Inhale, right leg up and back. Bend your knee, open up your hip. Bring your right foot all the way outside, both hands for a runner's lunge. You can keep your back leg lifted or bring back knee down. Rest your right elbow on top of your right thigh, or even press forearm to thigh, thigh into forearm. This is a big hip opener, so take a moment. We'll step forward into frog pose. Heels are down, toes are out. Take a moment to lift your hips to knee height. We'll move from frog to bear pose. That's going to help to release a lot of tension around the hips. This feels like it's too much. Just keep hands at your heart and drop back into Malasana garland pose. We'll rise up on inhale. Exhale, we come back down. Just another way to create some energy and movement, letting go of anything that's stuck. Come back into seated frog. Step your left leg back. Runner's lunge twist, inhale, right arm up. Open up the chest here, exhale, pivot around, Prasarita Padottanasana. So wide leg, standing, separate leg, fold. Rolling weight towards big toe mounds, kneecaps stretch to your hip creases, and then just a sway side to side. This is such a great low back release as well. Pivot around to a low lunge, palms inside the right foot still. And then we'll square to bring the right hip and the right foot to midline. Use your core, rise up, crescent lunge, Anjaneyasana. Shoulders stack over hips. You can bend the back knee a few times to stretch into the psoas, the hips and thighs, or keep the arms lifted. Hands can come to hips to help create a little bit of a back bend, opening up front line of chest, taking some tension away from the neck, the throat. Breathe in, reach. Exhale, lower down, low lunge. Step back, high plank. Downward facing dog. We'll move to the other side, left leg up and back. Bend the knee, open up the hip. Let your head drop here and place the left shoulder to align with the right. Step forward into your runner's lunge. Back knee lifted or down. And then see what's happening here on this side of the body. Forearm can press against inner thigh against forearm, or just simply rest elbow on thigh. And we'll step forward into garland pose. Drop the hips down, weight in the heels. Lift your sternum, your chest, roll back a little bit into this pose. When we come back into the frog bear movement, stretch the arms out as you lift the hips knee height, and then drop the hips back down. You can also move this into a forward fold variation where you bend the knees and then straighten the legs. And we'll step back into our runner's lunge. Right foot back. Inhale, lift the left arm up, open up the chest. Exhale, pivot around. Another opportunity to be in Prasarita Padottanasana. And here you can do some movements like Skandasana, stretch the inseam of the legs. You could do a simple forward fold. And taking a moment just to notice nature. All the beautiful flowers that are blossoming, the green that's coming through from winter. There's this heartbeat of Mother Nature that sort of provides a background sound to the practice when you're outside. Come back to center in your Prasarita Padottanasana and pivot forward to your low lunge. We'll bring the left foot center between the palms and then rise into crescent, Anjaneyasana, and reach hands to heart or fingertips over shoulders and take a few pulses here to stretch, open up the hips and thighs. Reach and breathe, a little back bend if you want more front line opening. And then exhale back to your low lunge, step back, high plank, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take a few moments to breathe here. Ensure that your head is resting below your heart in your downward dog. Come forward to plank pose and pause with your breath. Step your ankles together, big toes touch. We take side plank, Vashisthasana, left palm down, right arm high. And then rainbow your body from your ankle to your fingertips as we move into changing sides. Stack your hips, stack your shoulders, reach up and around, coming back to your plank pose. Lower your knees. And we want to hover the knees here just an inch away from the floor. We're opening up the quads and engaging the core. Take another breath and then drop down. Take a few cat-cows, stretch that out. And then lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Step forward, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold. Chair pose, Utkatasana. Hands at your heart as you exhale. Vertical twist to the right here. You can bring right hand to low back and start to move into prayer twist. It's also okay to hold the vertical twist, keeping the arms extended. Hands to heart can be a more intense twist. Let's inhale center and then change. Exhale vertical left. Hips are square, sit down and back. Hand to low back if you'd like. Arms open or hands to heart, working your sternum towards your thumbs, stacking elbows on top of one another. Take another breath in and then exhale, you release. And we'll get ready to move into crow, Bakasana, or enjoy a few more moments in frog pose, or you can even come into child's pose here as well. For crow, you're rolling the weight into your palms, using your core to lift your heels towards your glutes. Breathe, focus. Play with this a little more or release when you're ready. Standing forward fold. Rise all the way up to mountain pose, Tadasana. Let's step the feet together. Steeple grip. Exhale, release. Roll your shoulders up and down a few times. We'll start with some body tapping. So start to place fingertips around thymus, the chest, the décolleté. Just to release some tension around the heart space, any anxiety. Inhale, reach up, mountain pose. And exhale, preparing for dancers, Natranjasana, whichever side you would like to lead with. Kicking your foot back into your hand. And then using the strength of your quad to lift your leg and pulling your heel towards your back, towards the back of your head. Reach up through left fingertips in opposition. Less about hinging forward, more about reaching up. So strong in the core. And then exhale, release. We change sides, opposite elbow to hip. Reaching back for your foot from the big toe side. Knees can always touch, quads can stay together, or starting to move back into standing bow pose. Let your left hip or right hip, whichever hip is lifted, drop down to be a little more neutral. Reach into your edge, breathing in. Exhale, release. Forward fold, Uttanasana, bow, soften the knees. Halfway lift for a moment. Step back, high plank. Chaturanga, or all the way down into cobra. We'll take a few moments here in Bhujangasana, cobra pose. Little to no weight in the palms as you lift and lower your chest. Kneecaps are lifted, glutes are semi-engaged. Tops of the feet are pressing down to the earth. Now you can rest here or take half bow pulling pose or half Dhanurasana, reaching behind you. Keep your shoulder back. Bend the elbow. Pull your heel towards your glute. You can use the opposite forearm that's in the earth to press and help support lifting you up a little bit more. And exhale. Take a moment to release or further your spine strengthening into seal pose. Palms are to the edges of your mat. Moving into bow pose, Dhanurasana. Exhale everything out first, and then on your inhale, you lift your quads, you roll your chest back. From there, you can move into full expression, tee out the arms, lift your thighs, lift your legs. Big spine strengthening, big heart opening here. Exhale, release the Anahata Asana. So hips are off your heels. You're melting your chest towards the earth. Lots of activation in your palms, pushing down into the mat above your head. I'll take a few moments to release that pose and find a couple more cat-cow movements. And come to a seat, hips on heels, knees bent. Place right palm down beside you. Lift the left arm up and over your head. Reach for the side of your head. You're gonna gently stretch left ear to left shoulder, and then replant right palm on top of your right thigh for a counter stretch. Then we'll change sides. So left palm outside left hip. Reach around with your right arm, right hand. And then we stretch into the right side, stabilizing left palm on thigh. So moving into the neck and shoulders, releasing any tension that's very common here for stylists and estheticians to hold energy here in our neck and shoulders. Take a few moments to tuck chin to chest and roll ear to shoulder. This is where you might want to spend a little bit more time in your practice. From here, you can move into a standing modified camel pose. So knees hip width apart, hands at your hips. Draw tailbone down, quads forward as you lean back. Big opening here through the front of the throat, the chest. You can place one hand to your back heel and lift open up with the other arm. That feels okay. Stretch, reach, open. Just finding some space to move into. You can always bring hands to heart and lift sternum to your thumbs. When you're ready to release, come to a seat. Keep your head above your heart for a few moments, maybe some neck shoulder movements. And when you're ready, move your legs out in front of you, roll onto your back and find bridge pose. So no movement in the head and neck here. Gaze is pointed to the sky. Feet are hip width apart. You can keep your arms and palms pressed down on the mat as you lift your quads, curl your tailbone up, roll energy towards your big toes. If it feels good, you can interlace your hands underneath you and roll your shoulders underneath your chest, and then play with some movement of lifting your legs. Keep your chest towards your chin and your chin away from your chest. In fact, feel what it's like to pull your chin down towards your throat. When you're ready, you can release. It might feel good to stretch your legs out, arms overhead, or pull your legs in towards your chest. Wind removing pose. Pull your thighs towards your belly. Release and surrender your back into the earth. Take a few moments to be held by nature. So healing, so grounding. Roll out of this pose and come up to a seat. We'll move into child's pose, invoking the sixth chakra point, Ajna chakra. So hips on heels, forehead towards the earth. You can rock forehead side to side just to massage away any unnecessary thoughts, any tension of the mind. And come back to tabletop, and we'll thread the needle here. So right arm underneath your chest, gaze to the left. Left palm can rest at your low back for a little bit more opening in the chest and shoulders. It's okay to also let your hips drop back onto your heels here. Inhale, stretch, release, and then we'll change sides. Exhale, center. Inhale, reach, thread needle, gaze to the right. Right palm rest at low back, or hips can melt towards your heels. Ensure that you're breathing into the spaces where you feel the stretch. The breathing is to release stress through the stretch. Start to release. We'll come to center, tabletop. Lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Take a moment to settle back into your body. Feel this progression of change of mind, body, and being. Head is below heart. Playing with gravity, seeing the world in a different way, different perspective. And start to walk your feet towards your hands, hands towards your feet. Take a halfway lift. Exhale, deep forward fold. One more time, rise all the way up, standing mountain pose, Tadasana. Hands at heart, Samasthiti, calling to your attention pose. And then bring your thumbs to plant at your third eye center. Once again, invoking Ajna chakra. And then palms reach over the crown of your head, a lotus mudra, so your pinkies and thumbs stay connected, but you're opening up your fingers like a blossoming lotus. Out of darkness, we move into light. From here, we'll start to create some body tapping. So just placing your hands over your body with slight tapping motions, working your entire body from head to toe, toe to head. This is a great way to release stress. It activates manual lymphatic drainage, so releasing toxins, boosting your immune system. In a way, you're creating an awakening of the mind-body connection. And with this 20-minute sequence, whether you're doing this beginning of the day, as a reset in the middle of your busy day, this is a nice way to bring yourself back into yourself, to create focus and intention. And we'll close our practice by coming to a comfortable seat, Sukhasana. A great space to then set intention for your day or open yourself up to meditation. Namaste.